This is the second 10-minute deep dive on this infographic, the staircase of mental wellness. And I've taken you right to the top here. Adrenaline seeking is at the top of the absence staircase. Adrenaline seeking attempts to numb out emotions by tranquilizing the body or activating a natural cocktail of adrenaline and endorphins released by things like extreme sports or social taboos, self-harm, with a numbing after effect. Incredibly, the acting out kids capture our attention, but the numbed out kids don't, because they tend to hide. They're left to fall apart alone into pieces of their former self. Adrenaline seeking is all about numbing painful emotions. Every generation has its fixes: alcohol, tobacco, prescription medications, gaming, cannabis, opioids, and cutting. Yet the purpose is the same: to avoid or at least interrupt emotional pain. Another destructive effect of adrenaline seeking is relationships poisoned with opportunism. Yes, abusive and codependent relationships continue in desperate attempts to counter loneliness. Absence is not knowing what's going on, not self-sensing. The effect is a head-first free fall with no way to self-regulate outside of substance use and relationship abuse. The antidote to numbing out is social reconnection and healthy attachment to grow relationship capacity. So, whoa, absencing is shocking to get your head around. But my hopeful message is there are many opportunities to intervene. Absencing is a long climb. Problems don't emerge overnight. So let's pay attention to all the feelings kids are experiencing. Adrenaline seeking starts farther down the staircase with tuning out. Tuning out everyday activities, not actively participating. Let's pay more attention to kids when they first tune out. Tuning out can become shutting out friends and family by filling social life with isolation and secrecy. Maybe your first inkling is something is wrong because you notice the teen who spends too much time playing video games. But then you notice dangerous behaviors or extreme ideas changing their friendships significantly, or they fall into relationships with bad actors online. They're looking for significance in all the wrong places. And that happens because kids are exhausted by the social games and barriers to authentic belonging at school. If caring adults don't notice when kids are shutting them out, then attachment relationships necessary for mental wellness are damaged and numbing out begins. Numbing emotions is hiding from feelings, along with less capacity to feel or respond to others. So overall, absencing results in moods and feelings which shift rapidly from temper tantrums to shutting down. Kids can neither calm themselves nor describe what they feel. Now, you might be asking, is this all about anxiety disorders or depression or developmental trauma or bipolar disorder, ADHD or sensory processing disorder, or maybe autism? Well, yes, it's about all of these because the mental health community is largely medical professionals, and they use diagnostic labels to sort emotional issues into tidy categories. But labels can scare parents and teachers into believing they can't manage and don't know what to do. We already know that attachment relationships are key to mental health. But many schools are stuck using cognitive behavioral methods which miss this point. In fact, Bessel van der Kolk, an international expert in trauma research and therapy, complains that we too often bypass the emotional engagement system we're born with, that is the foundation of who we are, and instead focus narrowly on correcting faulty thinking and on suppressing unpleasant emotions and troublesome behaviors. It is truly disturbing that more children than ever before are prescribed medications today to cope with life. Plus, it's additionally disturbing that mental health disorders identified within adult populations are now commonly diagnosed in childhood, leading to treatment plans highlighting medication. And it's less unusual actually lately for kids to be on several medications at once. because they meet criteria for several medical mental disorders. Medicating kids is about wanting kids to behave normally without building capacities for them to feel normal. However, when mental health clinicians and schools work together, we can change this. So the staircase to absence is an unnecessary climb. Absence can be interrupted at any time along the way. Knowing what kids are feeling tells us what to do and directly supports emotional development, safeguarding children and teens well into the future. The reality is that families and schools are first responders. So understanding absence and presence in mental wellness is valuable, no matter what combination of challenges kids present. The situation in Canada right now is that 80% of children and teens with a mental health diagnosis do not access mental health services, even though more is known about mental wellness in children now than at any time in our past. Mental wellness insight is a direct result of uncovering how attachment and development are significant. It's the dynamics of emotions, development, and relationships that I keep coming back to in the WolfeWisdom framework, since these are the three dynamic working parts of emotional development. So just to review, the absence staircase is a headfirst free fall because anxiety is the default setting when this child or teen starts their day and in every activity of their day. Absence fragments our sense of self with more separation because relationships are damaged, more suffering unless adults come up with good solutions, and more complacency because kids will give up and adults might give up too. Absence looks like nervous confrontation, since kids are flooded with strong emotions and they aren't articulate about their feelings. Absence sounds like unsynchronized and static. It's a static style of speaking out of context. Kids make inappropriate public displays of distress or bottle up and explode at home simply because they're overrun by emotions and are disconnected from the emotional regulation of good enough relationships. Absence is an inflexible mindset because kids don't have confidence for new learning. And as a result, adults cannot expect social and emotional competence, even if kids have been taught all the skills they need to cope in social situations. This makes it easy to overprotect kids by doing all the talking and avoid their volatile emotions by walking on eggshells. But then kids don't change. If we let volatile emotions rule the day, then kids don't grow, and schools are merely playing catch up in academic learning and social skills. So what can we do? Well, first, we need levels of backup plans. Second, it's easier and wiser to change the context, not the kid. And third, make daily challenges more tolerable by building on small successes and not expecting kids to jump in to sink or swim. Mental wellness is truly about enhancing relationships to support emotional development in children and teens. Mutual emotional connection is the single most essential ingredient of relationships for supporting kids to grow up. But how do we create deeper connections with our kids? We must slow down, like the legendary Italian developmentalist Maria Montessori said. Walk beside this child, not behind, not in front. She meant for us to tune into what life is like for them. Adult presence becomes a model for children and teens to climb that staircase of presence and create a good life. So I'll talk about that in part 3.